Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of ACM Insider. Today, we're talking with Mr. Charisma himself, aka Alex Kutsishin, who is the co-founder, CEO, and the chief ROI booster of Sales Boomerang. Alex, I love the crown. Sales Boomerang is an incredibly powerful borrower intelligence platform and a retention system that aims to bring relationships back to the lending experience. So, Alex, that said, how's it going today?
Well, it just got better because right when we hopped on the call, you said, "Where's the bourbon?"
Yep.
I was like, you know what? That's a good time. That's a good sign. I listen to the signs that are given to me, and we got it done.
Anybody who knows you knows that Alex doing any kind of talk, presentation, I should say, without a bourbon is not Alex, and we should probably check and make sure it's not a body double.
Yeah, you know what? It's probably something like this. Watch this. See if it works. No? Will it open? Oh, there's a whole thing that this other filter does that opens up my entire head. It's crazy looking.
So really quick with the filters, those filters are awesome. Maybe show us a couple more of those before we start diving into this.
Yeah, the wise old man, right? This is one of my favorites. I like to wear, and you'll see me go through this process throughout. There's some other really fun ones. So like. If you want to be a monster in the industry, you got to become a monster, total monster, completely. Total monster. You want to go back to college, you can go back to college a little bit. You want to have a little fun.
You just eat a beer bong with a college one.
That's it. Hey, drink it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so we'll break these out as we talk.
Sounds good. All right, so I'm gonna quickly go over really what's the intention of this talk with you, and really it's kind of two key things, right? And it really aimed more for loan officers to provide key insights that help loan officers, mortgage industry professionals really understand current industry challenges we're facing, solutions we need to think about, along with the adaptive and evolving mindsets we need to embrace to not only stay relevant, but more importantly, to grow our business as a mortgage company and more specifically as a loan officer. So that's one. The second thing, it's also meant to help LOs better understand the new and evolving technology available to them, i.e. Sales Boomerang, and how they can leverage it to better connect, engage, and convert their audience at scale. Does that make sense to you?
Makes perfect sense. Love it. Love the concept, by the way. Big ups to you guys for coming up with this.
Hey, doing the best that we can, right? If you're not growing, you're dying, as they say. So we're just continually growing.
You know what? Like your book says behind you, you're great by choice.
Hey, that's right. That's right. I'll take that. So, I mean, most people in the mortgage industry know who you are. But for those that don't, let's go ahead and kind of get that out of the way at the beginning. So let's start with the basics. So for the few people who may not know who you are, or for the maybe couple people who haven't heard of who Sales Boomerang is, can you give us a little bit of your backstory along with who Sales Boomerang is and how you guys make sure that no borrower gets left behind, as your tagline says?
I love it. So first of all, just a little bit behind me, and thank you for having me on and giving me a chance to kind of share this with your team and with the world at large, as you're going to share this everywhere. So personally, I'm a serial entrepreneur. Like my love and passion for building things is like that of a child getting a new toy. It's one of the most exciting things for me to find a gap in an industry or a challenge that needs to be solved, and then take an idea that doesn't exist, or if it exists in maybe a form that's not as best as it can be, and then build it. And most important for me is building it with a team of people I love. And so often, I build, this is my 7th company. I build companies with people I've already worked with before, because they are such a big part of the success I had before. And that's still true here. One of the guys that's running our engineering team is a NASA engineer, actually. So he, at a previous company, after our company, he went to NASA, and then I brought him back in for this. And so the why I share that is because my passion is to build amazing teams that are built up of amazing people, because that's the only way you build amazing products and make amazing changes in the world, make an impact that matters, right? And so that's who I am as a person, is just as someone that wants to build great things with great people and create amazing results for the people we're building it for. Sales Boomerang was born, and the idea was born in 2016. The development started in mid 2016, and then went live in 2017 for beta. And at the end of 2017, we launched live. So our full 3-year anniversary from live is coming up this year. And we've, we've constantly been taking this challenge, right? No borrower left behind is more than a tagline. It's a mission for us. Like everything we think about is how do we fulfill this mission? How do we make it a no borrower left behind mortgage industry? And so what does Sales Boomerang do? We tell lenders when somebody in their database is ready for a loan, we bridge the gap. Instead of calling and guessing when somebody's ready for a loan and asking questions and try to fit them in a box, we send that notification to you and your team and the lenders out there, and make sure that they know which borrower for what reason and how to communicate with them, right? Instead of spamming and just randomly calling and asking questions, we're giving the real purpose, right? And that also then has a big effect on your referral partners. So if you're working with the realtor or other referral partners, we want to make it rain for you, but where is it? See, my beautiful concept of making money rain just disappeared. So we want to make it rain for you, but we also want to make it rain for your referral partners and your borrowers as well. So that's what Sales Boomerang does. Tells everyone in the lending space when somebody in their database is ready for a loan.
Yeah, and from our standpoint, our meaning Atlantic Coast Mortgage, we use Sales Boomerang, and I can't speak highly enough about it just in terms of the opportunities that it presents for loan officers. But really more importantly, and I love what you said, where you talk about you have a mission of no borrower left behind. So it's not something, it's not just a business goal that you're aiming for. It's really doing good and helping out people, which for me is one of the things that I love about ACM is we have that same sort of philosophy of, yes, there is the business side of it, but being able to find those individuals, particularly being able to leverage, a tool like Sales Boomerang, who may not have been able to apply for a house at one point in time, but because something has shifted, such as their credit or something else, or maybe rates have dropped a little bit, we can save them money. There's so many opportunities to do good for the people that we're serving. And that's one of the things I always talk about is, we're not out here just to do business. We're out here to serve our local communities through our expertise and through our experience, because being able to own a home, having that stability, being able to build a family, being able to give back to your community is such a huge part of it that I feel like not enough people, in our industry talk about. So that's one of the things in particular I love about your philosophy of whether it's building the best teams, building the best company and technology, but all those things really serving that mission of, nobody gets left behind, being able to provide as many opportunities from the home buying standpoint to as many people as possible. I think that's such a great mission to have. And that's one of the reasons why I love, the fact that we get to work with you guys.
Yeah. And you made a great point that what you guys do and the alignment that we have with you guys is amazing, because we have the same vision. We really want to help. And that's a huge testament to what you guys are doing. Honestly, from leadership all the way down. We got to meet in Virginia a while back, and the enthusiasm, sort of the camaraderie that you guys have about doing what you just talked about, right? Helping your team, but helping your team help the consumer is first of all a big reason why you guys have been so successful, but why we have had such a good partnership.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to give a special shout out to Timur, our CEO, Patrick, our COO, and John, our president. I mean, those guys, I've never met people that are so passionate about helping out the community. That's one of the questions that they're always asking is not just how can we become better, but how can we become better for the people that we're ultimately serving, which to me is a huge differentiator. I've worked in other mortgage companies before, and this to me is something that I've rarely seen. And it's one of the reasons why I love working with the company and why I love the fact that we get to partner with you guys in the way that we do.
Dude, they are amazing. Everyone on that leadership team is amazing, honestly.
Absolutely.
And by the way, they're all respected and known in the industry as well, right? 100%. So that's how much they've impacted the industry. They're well recognized for everything they do. So cheers to them.
Yeah, cheers to them. I don't have a drink. I wish I did, but so I'll give them a pound.
There you go.
Or a high five. All right, so moving this along a little bit, I got a two-part question for you. Now that we obviously have a little bit better understanding of who you are, of who Sales Boomerang is, the value that you guys bring to the table, From your standpoint, what does it mean to be a modern day loan officer or mortgage company? One of the things we say is we call ourselves a next generation lending company because of the technology that we implement, and not only because of the technology that we implement, but how we leverage that technology to actually increase engagement, being able to connect better with people at the right time, at the right moment, and to be able to provide the highest quality of service. So in your mind, how would you categorize or define, what is a modern day loan officer or a modern day mortgage company? Like, what should we be looking for as loan officers?
Man, I love this question. We could honestly do an entire like an hour long
100%.
conversation about this, because to me, this is a really this is a really deep dive into philosophy, and into beliefs. And so, if I can speak just from my point of view, if for a modern day loan officer, and then we'll talk about the companies as well, but a modern day loan officer needs to understand that they are a guide. Okay, they are not there to sell a loan. Okay, you are not there to sell a loan, right? You can chop this section out of the video. That's not what you're doing. That's not the industry that you're in. That's not the purpose for your existence. You are to guide consumers through the home mortgage experience. That's it. You are just a guide. You are not the ball or the arm throwing the bowling ball down the lane. You are the bumpers. Okay, you are just the bumpers. They're going to go down that lane with or without you, right? But you are the bumpers, making sure they don't fall off the edges, making sure you guide them, and making sure that they hit the pins no matter what. That's what the bumpers do for kids that are playing bowling for the first time, right? They're not helping them get better. They're not making them spin the ball or hit a no. They're making sure that they stay in the lane and they get a hit on the pins every single time. And that is what you are. You're a guide, and that's what you need to understand. So as a modern day loan officer, think about being a guide, okay? That's what I would be thinking about. And by being a guide, one of the things I would be investing in a ton is technology and automation. I, as a modern day loan officer, would not want to do computing things. I don't want to compute. I want to speak. I want to be a human. I want to connect with humans. I want to give humans a reason to love me. I want to give humans a reason to love my company, not just me. Right? Because one day I'm going to retire and leave, but this company may be around. So it's my job as a modern day loan officer to make sure the company looks good no matter what. No matter what I'm going to do, I'm making sure that the organization I'm working for looks, sounds, and feels great to the customer, because who knows? Tomorrow I win the lottery, I leave, right? I want to make sure that my customers understand that the company I'm working with will do the same for them as I've been doing for them, right? Very important to make that clear distinction, that even though you are generating your own revenue, you're setting your own salary, right? As a loan officer, you dictate how much you make or how much you don't make, but it's the company that's supporting you that needs to be recognized as being as true to the customer as you are, okay? So I am, as a modern day loan officer, I'm automating as much as possible so I can spend time talking to my customers. I'm trying to understand when my customers need me and why, right? I'm taking advantage of all the different things. There's amazing resources. So Sales Boomerang is one, but an amazing CRM technology partner I would absolutely be using. Some kind of survey system I would be using. Some kind of automated gift sending to my customers I would be using, okay? All of the things, digital mortgage solutions with digital forms and things of that nature. All of those things, I would be equipping myself with every possible tool that helps me. Now, don't get me wrong. Not every tool is created equal, and not every tool I would be using, because it's not all for me. But if it makes sense and it's part of who I am, I'm implementing it, okay? So that's as a modern day loan officer. I don't know if you wanted to comment there before I jump into modern day lender.
Yeah, so I'll jump in because I think what you said described it beautifully. And it's funny that you said the whole guide part, because that's the core of what our tagline is: here to guide you home. And that's really a philosophy that we have, where I think a lot of people, everybody wants to be the hero of their own story, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times what ends up happening is, from the loan officer perspective, they unintentionally or unknowingly try to put themselves in the position of being the hero in the borrower's journey, right?
I like to be the hero of my story as well.
Yeah, there we go. when instead,
I gotta color my hair blonde. I just realized that.
Hey, you look good like that. All you
I
need
know.
to have is like a guitar, and you'll have like a power metal band.
Dude, my wife said, she's like, you look really good as a blonde. I'm like, hmm.
Keep the beard dark though, and we got to get contacts for the blue eyes too.
That's right.
But so I think what a lot of loan officers end up doing is they end up unknowingly or unintentionally inserting themselves into that role of hero, right? When really they shouldn't be, you know, taking a Star Wars reference, they shouldn't be Luke Skywalker. They should be putting themselves in the position of Yoda that's going to guide the buyer, i.e. to Luke Skywalker, along that journey throughout the entire process. And to your point of what you were talking about with the technology, pretty much every technology that you just said from like a categorical standpoint, like the surveys, you know, sales boomerang, and effective cutting edge CRM, along with a myriad of other digital tools, are all things that we have set up through Atlantic Coast Mortgage. But more importantly than just having the tools is also having the support as well. And the people that are going to actually teach you how to adapt and to use those tools so that you can be more, you can become more effective. Because I think one of the things I see is people oftentimes think that technology, you know, they're very much a personable business, right? One-to-one kind of relationship. And a lot of people get this, there's this misnomer of where, well, if I'm using technology, then it's removing that personal touch. And instead, like in the case with Sales Boomerang, what it actually does is it allows you to have those personal touches at scale. I always liken it to this. You know, there's growth, which is, you know, I add one person, I'm able to do one other thing. And then there's scale, which is one to many. And technology at the end of the day allows for personal engagement from my standpoint at scale, which is what I see with Sales Boomerang and a lot of the other tools that we use, where you're able to actually enhance and deepen those relationships through the technology that you're actually using. So, I mean, would you agree with that, or do you have other, you know, something to add on to that?
Absolutely, man. Honestly, that everything you're saying is spot on. I am personally in alignment with. Others may have a different opinion, but everything you just mentioned, I personally align with exactly. So for me, it's technology to help me be a better me, which I'm human, so it's just a better version of myself. If I have to take hours and hours and hours of discovering who I need to contact and why, then I can only help a few people, right? Because if I take hours and hours to discover one or two, and then I have to call them, talk to them, have those conversations, and then another couple hours to discover who else to call, then I'm only able to help a few people a day. But if I have a system that tells me who to call, when to call, why to call, and what's the benefit for them, not for me, then I can be a better human. I can be a better version of myself, and I can do it at scale, which is what you're saying. And guess what else happens? You ready? Here's what happens. Now I've discovered 84 people I need to contact in the next week. Well, I can't do that on my own. Guess what I'm doing? I'm hiring an assistant. I just help the economy by creating a job that otherwise wouldn't exist because I am personally doing this, right? Or maybe I would outsource it somewhere for somebody to find something for me and then give it to me, and then I contact those people. But I'm not giving the job here in my local community. I'm giving it to somewhere else. But if technology gives me a chance to help more people, and I need support, then I got to hire more, right? Same thing for you guys. If you know, in a situation like now, you guys have an abundance of opportunities, and I'm sure you're setting records.
It's been a busy 3 months. Right? Yep,
amazing,
it's been
right?
A really busy 3 months.
So it's like, look, you and by the way, I believe the mortgage industry has been the light of this darkness that we've been in through COVID. Is this mortgage industry has really stepped up and really done great things for the entire nation, and so you have the chance when you can take all of this opportunity and say, look, I don't want to say no to deals. I just need to hire more people, right? Same thing here. So to me, technology should be a driver of growth, should be a driver of scale, should actually give you a chance to do more of the things that you want to do for yourself and to be a better version of yourself. I'll give you an example. If I can find ways to take care of certain things so I can spend an extra hour with my kids, that's a win, right? At the end of the day, that's a huge win. And so this is the same thing. If I can use technology to improve my business, then I can do more of helping people, then it's a huge win. And I possibly have to hire someone because I'm so busy. And that's the idea. So I'm in complete alignment, by the way. And by the way, I did find this. I don't know how it's going to look.
Yeah.
Yoda. Okay. I found this. Um,
We should have done the whole interview with you
as
Yoda.
Yoda and Scott, like if you would have been Luke and I would have been
That would have
Yoda,
been awesome. That would have been
that would
awesome.
have been amazing.
Um,
This is happening. This has to happen again, exactly like you just said it.
I love this. This is awesome. This is one of the reasons why, even though you and I haven't had an opportunity to have a lot of discussions, we have met before, but you're one of my favorite people because your personality that you have, it really redefines to me even the notion of what it means to be a professional in this industry, right? Where before you think of just suit and tie, and now the reality is, especially as more millennials are getting into the idea of buying a house, that whole idea of what it means and what it looks like to be professional is completely different, just as much as it is the way in which people used to engage and build relationships back in the day is completely different than where it is now, like through social media, and texting, and all the other all the other forms of digital communication that we have, right? And so that kind of brings me to the next point. Even before we talk about the mortgage companies or what a modern day mortgage company is, but one of the things that sometimes I've seen people struggle with is really having an adaptive, evolving mindset of taking on like new technology and things of that nature, right? And I always say, everybody wants to grow, but nobody wants to change because change is hard, right? But at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, if we truly want to grow, that does involve change. That does mean putting yourself in an uncomfortable position and being willing to adapt, because if you're not going to adapt, then you're going to die, right? Meaning that you're not going to be relevant. And that really is what death is in this industry, is you're no longer relevant. So what would you say to those individuals that are maybe on the cusp or thinking, "Day, this isn't really for me. I don't really need to do this," right? More of that like old school kind of traditional way of thinking versus that more adaptive and evolving mindset. What would you say to those individuals or those loan officers?
So just to make sure, I want to answer the question properly. So what do you say to those individuals that don't feel like changing with the times?
Right.
What that means for them and their customers? That's the
Yeah.
way I heard the question.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even with people, there are loan officers I know that are they have a successful business right now. There's not really a need for them in their mind to adapt or to fully leverage or to invest, their time or energy into some of the technology that's available to them, even though it would increase the business they already have exponentially. So there's those individuals, but just people in general that maybe have that more old school kind of mindset of, I don't need to do all this technology stuff. I can continue doing what I've always been doing. And it's like, that's not actually true, particularly as times continue to evolve. Our means of communication is shortening down. The ways and the mediums that we're communicating, like I said, through social, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or texting or email, there's so many different ways to communicate with people. So having that understanding, does that make a little bit more sense?
That makes a lot more sense. So look, here's the thing, right? And if we want to put everyone in one bucket, we would be making a mistake. And I believe that I believe this is the truth. The one constant is change in life, right? That's the one guarantee. Everything will change. Nothing will ever be the same. That's a fact. And so the question becomes, are the changes that you have to make the changes that you believe in? And some people may say that the technology that they have to try to invest in and adopt are not for them. And that's okay. If it's not for you, you will one day realize if that was a good decision or not. But when you realize that, if it happens to be the wrong decision, it will be too late once you realize. That's all I'll say, right? So I love this, and I will give a huge shout out to Dave Savage from Mortgage Coach, because he said this, and I love this. Okay, Dave says technology is not going to replace loan officers, but loan officers using technology will replace loan officers that don't. Okay, that's it. So I'm just saying, it's a great statement. It's up to you to believe it or not, but I think it's a really good way of saying it. You don't have to adopt anything. It's up to you. And I'll tell you, this is a great story. This is a true story. I was speaking at a sales rally for one of our clients, a really big old company that's been around for decades and decades, long time. And one of their top producers that was around 44 million in production when we were there, this was last year. She has been in this industry for more than 20 years. And she talked about how much of her business is reoccurring customers that she's worked with before. And she's an older lady. She's in her. She looked amazing, by the way. She's in her mid 60s, and she was really active. You could tell she was like a woman that never stops moving. Okay, and it's interesting. And this is not this. I'm not sharing this story because it's for sales Boomerang. But she's like, the only thing I use, because you don't make me learn something new, is sales Boomerang. Other than that, I don't use our CRM. I don't use anything. It's too much to learn. So when your emails come in, I take advantage of them. But other than that, everything I get is from my existing customers. Okay. So here's a situation where a lady that's been in this business for over 20 years gets most of her business from repeat customers. Okay. But 20 plus years in the industry, she's doing 44 million. There was 4 people above. She was top 5. 4 people above her who've been in the industry. One of them has been in the industry for 3 years. One of them been in the industry for 6 years. One of them I forget the other 2, but they were all less than 10 years in the industry. All less than 10 years that are above her. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. $44 million is no joke. That's a killer. Like, amazing. But do you see where I'm going with this? What happens the year after that? What happens the year after that? Is she in 8th place? Is she in 12th place? So here's a situation where somebody with 20 plus years of experience has been surpassed by a guy that's been in the business for 3 years. And what does he do? He spoke. He was one of the people that spoke. And he's like, look, I utilize everything. I use every resource available to me. I use all the different technologies, all the different ways I can build my business. I use it all. And it works for him. But I got to tell you, that 44 million works for her, right? So my answer to your question is, hey, look, if it doesn't work, if it doesn't fit in with your soul, don't do it, right? You're going to hate yourself. You're not going to learn it. You're not going to love it. But one day when you go, I should have, then it's too late. Then it's, so just take that into consideration when you're deciding, should I invest into something? Should I learn something new? Or should I stick to what I was going with? It's completely up to you. But when you realize it's too late, it is literally too late. You'll have to play catch up, and everyone's moving faster.
That's it. What I tell a lot of people as well. It's like, by the time you realize you need something, it's already too late, because now there's an opportunity gap that exists for individuals who aren't using that technology, for you to become an expert, develop your own system. I mean, for us, from the marketing side, the IT side, the operations side, we really help LOs build a complete system that leverage all those different pieces together, right? So also being with a company that provides you with that support that you need, not just the tools. Because I can give you all the tools and say, hey, Alex, go build a house. But if I don't give you a blueprint or actual instructions on how to frame the house, to lay the foundation, all those things, you're never going to be able to do that, right? So I think that's definitely a key piece of it as well. Kind of keeping this moving along, because I know we're running out of time now. Just have 2 kind of last remaining things from you, which are, what are the biggest challenges that you see that the mortgage industry, or particularly with the loan officers, what are they facing? How do we navigate those challenges to come out on the other side stronger and better? And I know a lot of what we've been talking about kind of reinforces probably whatever you're going to be more poignant about here. But what would you say are those challenges and the things that we need to do to get us on the other side, better, stronger?
Yeah, I think some of the biggest challenges that we're going to see come up is people wanting to be more in control of their decision on loans, right? And decision making on their finances and how they control it. I think also another challenge will be the concept of home ownership, right? Is home ownership the future? The American dream has been, since the late 1700s, has been, this is the American dream, to own a home. Is that the American dream going into 2020 and beyond, right? Is home ownership the real thing? And that's going to be a real big question for this industry as a whole. And how do you adjust to it? I believe it is, but I believe it's going to take a new form. So I think it's right now cementing the value that lenders give to the consumer. I think that is the biggest thing, cementing the value of being there, right? Realtors are facing this right now. Right, realtors are finally realizing that, my goodness, me walking into a house with a potential home buyer and saying that this is the kitchen, does not help the home buyer realize that this is a kitchen.
Right.
Like, I could do that without you, right? So now there's a big change and shift in the real estate space going, well, am I really the person that needs to be there when the biggest value I give is all the contract negotiation and reading through all the details that nobody that does it on their own can understand without some proper training, right? So I think the lending industry challenge is going to be saying, hey, here's why we make the money we make, and here's the value we bring to you. And that value is, if you're going to buy the most expensive asset from me and you're going to be involved with me for the biggest asset in your life, then I'm going to help you navigate that financial vehicle that most benefits you. Because right now, I get a mortgage, and then the question is, what happens next?
Right.
Nobody's answering that question. Nobody, right? I got to go to a financial advisor, which, by the way, doesn't know anything near as much as you do about the mortgage industry and the finances involved in a home, because the financial advisor is looking at other things. The home is the last thing they look at. So for me, I think it's going to be, I believe, this is my belief, it's giving the consumer, the borrower, a really good reason for choosing the lender like yourself, and saying, hey, this organization has my best interest in mind, and I do have the most expensive asset with them, more expensive than the stocks I own, more expensive, more valuable than the savings I have saved, right? It's
Yep.
600,000 compared to $4,000 I have in my bank account, which most
Right.
people don't even have that. So if that's the case, how can you be the driver of this financial vehicle that they're on? That, to me, will be the biggest challenge.
Yeah, I really love that, where it's highlighting that evolving mindset that's needed of, your role is shifting in terms of how you're engaging and how you're interacting with the borrower throughout that experience. That's such a great point. So
Yeah, and it's the question of the value of mortgage moving forward, right? It's
yeah,
understanding there's so many people now, and you know this, when we talk about millennials, there's a lot of millennials. They're like, I don't want to own a home.
yep,
I don't want to
yeah,
own.
absolutely, because they want the flexibility to be able to move around, and that's the big
Yes.
question is, do you want the stability where you're at a point where you're ready to buy a home, because people are getting married and having kids later in life than traditionally what we were before, which plays a role
Right.
in a lot of this, right?
And
So
we're all living longer too. That's why.
100%. I fully agree with that. That's also one of the reasons why, at least from our standpoint, one of the things that we say is the end of a loan isn't the end of our relationship. That's really just the beginning. And that ties into the whole here to guide you home. It's, our relationship isn't just contingent upon the here and now of you trying to buy a house, right? And I think that's part of people recognizing that role shift, whether you're a loan officer or a realtor, of not just looking at it from a transactional standpoint, but more as from a lifetime. How am I going to continue to provide value to this person? Which ties into a lot of what you were saying earlier, as far as how can you provide as much value as possible? That value may be shifting, like you alluded to from the realtor standpoint, where now you have online 3D virtual tours and things like that you can go through, right? So those things are kind of fluctuating right now. But I think the most important thing is, whether you're a realtor or a loan officer or a mortgage company, is really taking full inventory of how you're assessing the value that you're adding, and actually taking a hard look and saying, is this the actual value that people want? Or is this just what I have always thought of is the value, even though it's changing and evolving as we're continuing to move on?
Yeah. Yeah.
So one other thing kind of along those same lines, and I'll wrap it up with this, is how do you see the customer or borrower journey evolving, and how can we best engage them from an awareness, attention, interest, decision, advocacy, like that whole sort of funnel flow, right? From the moment that you connect with them to creating advocacy at the end with that, customer retention aspect or referral aspect of it.
This is the easiest thing for me to answer. Okay, because I've been giving this thought since 2016. Okay, it's very easy. Scheduling the next loan with your borrowers. Period. That's it. From now on, what has to happen, and we're building this. You guys are going to get to be one of the pilots for us. I don't know if you know this, Corey, but you guys are going to be a pilot for loan scenarios and planned lending. Listen to this. This will become a thing. Save this recording, because in 2022, when you hear planned lending, what's that mean? It means I plan my future lending. On average, I'm going to have 11 mortgage-related transactions in my lifetime. If I live in the United States, I will have about 11 mortgage-related transactions. But to date, when I do a transaction with my lender, it seems to end there. That's why this industry
Right.
hates this word transaction.
Right.
No, the reason it's a transaction, just like going to a grocery store, it's a transaction because the grocery store doesn't know I'm going to come back, even though they know I'm going to need milk, but they don't know I'm coming back there unless they schedule something with me, right? So we need to get away from transactional by being able to schedule the next loan. And what is the percentage of loans that will have a better vehicle for them down the road? What percentage? You ready? Here's the percentage, 99%. 99% of loans will lose their value as the current vehicle, best vehicle for that borrower, which means 99% of the time, some better loan will be available in the future. Who knows when that comes? We know when that comes. You know when that comes. And so by understanding the loan you do for someone today, you can schedule the next loan with them right there. And you can say, hey, the next best loan for you will be determined by what? Would you like to save some money? Would you like to save some term off the years? What's going to make the best difference? Oh, I want to be able to save $300 a month off my mortgage. Fantastic. When that happens, I'm calling you.
Yeah.
We've already scheduled it. We've already scheduled it. Until you hear from me, every other solicitation, anything you hear is not important. So the future truly for the entire industry and how we get away from all of this, shopping around and my customer's going to leave me. It's never going to happen. Okay. Unless you do a terrible job. If you do a terrible job, they should leave. But if you do a great job, they'll never leave you. Here's why. You will schedule every future loan from this point moving forward. If it's on the 5th loan, you'll schedule the next 6. If it's the first one, you'll schedule the next 10. It will all be scheduled because you will know exactly when they will need the next best loan. Oh, Alex, but what happens when some anomaly happens in their life? No problem. When you have the intelligence about what's happening in your borrower's life, when something crazy happens, you will know, you will contact the borrower and say, hey, based on our plan, we're going this direction, but something just serious happened in your life. I'm not sure exactly, but something serious, what happened? Oh, this happened. This is a better direction for you, right? Yeah. And that's it. And the thing is, your borrowers will know that. They won't be like, why are you calling me? This is Big Brother. What's going on? You will set that expectation up from day one, and they will expect it, just like you expect to go to a mechanic during a certain time, a regular dentist checkup, your plumber, your whatever it is. You don't, if you have a guy that fixes your house, when something happens to your house, you don't go, well, I better go look for someone.
Right.
No,
yeah, exactly.
You already know someone you trust has got your back. You're going to call them first. That is what is going to happen in this industry. And we, again, not to give ourselves a big pat on the back and say that this is something, that people should look at more than other things, but we are truly trying to get to a place where no borrower is left behind, and it's driven by the borrower and the lender working together. Not the lender's like, hey, I won't leave you behind. No, you love your borrower, and you know what? Let's flip the table. The borrower should say, we love you. We love you. Corey, we love you. We're never going anywhere. We love you.
No, I think that's so great. That's one thing I feel like a lot of people fail to realize is the customer journey has actually changed. It's no longer the provider that's in control of that. It's the actual consumer themselves that are in charge of their own journey throughout that process. And I love what you said as far as planned lending. The first thing that came to my mind was Amazon. Whether it's kind of like the Amazon for lending, more or less, where the same way that you can order your groceries and every week, all right, I'm gonna eat this amount of egg whites or turkey or whatever it is. Next week, I'm gonna get the same amount. Or if you're ordering repeat products, I keep seeing that more and more. I use, as many people, Amazon all the time. It's like, hey, do you want to save money and just keep this thing coming every month because you're gonna run out of it, right? So I love that concept, and I think everything that you just said hits the nail so much on the head. Where if you also, and this is the key, like you said, setting expectations. I'm so huge on setting expectations up front, whether it's, anytime I'm meeting with a potential new loan officers thinking about coming on board, or with people on the team, or any relationship in general, setting expectations up front is so key, because then you're never blindsided, or to your point, you're never looking at like, how do you know all this information? Why are you contacting me? Because the loan officer has already set that expectation up front.
That's
and
my
instead
job.
of them they're excited. They're like, oh, it's time for me now to do this. This is awesome. Yes, I can't wait for it. I think that's great. I think that's great. In closing up, Alex, I guess I'll leave it with this. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you would want to mention, or you feel like would be something valuable for loan officers to know, whether it's with Sales Boomerang or anything else like that? I'll open it up to you.
Yeah, you know what? I will just say this. There's not much else. I think we've covered a lot.
We
First of
did
all, I'll
cover a
just say
lot.
thank you. We did. I want to say thank you for giving me this chance to share this time with you. You are excellent at communicating, excellent at setting up the stage here. So I want to give you big props for that.
Thank you.
Seriously,
Appreciate
amazing
it.
work. You had said if I finish my drink, it means it was a good
Yeah,
conversation. And look, my
I think
drink
we
is
did it
gone.
right.
So that's to you.
I think we did it right. I think we did it
That's to
right.
what you've done. But I will say this. There's a great clip in the modern day Sherlock Holmes. I don't know if anybody watches this with Benedict Cumberbatch, I believe is the lead character there.
Yep.
There's a great scene in one of the episodes where he blows this guy's mind. Like he picks him apart. He knows based on something that's on his shirt, on his fingers, what's in his pocket. You know how Sherlock Holmes does. He sees every
Yeah.
detail.
Sees
And
everything.
he,
Yeah.
and he sees everything. And so he's observational. And this guy goes, "How did you know all this? Oh my God." And he answered with such clarity. He goes, "That's my job."
Right.
And so this is what I'll leave everyone. It's your job to know when to help your borrower. It is your job. That's it. And when they're amazed by it, you say, "That's my job. That's what I do." If you're amazed by it, that's because I'm really good at what I do. So thank you for being my customer, and I'll do this for you forever, right? And so that's what I'll leave you guys with. And again, thank you, Corey. This was amazing. You're a beast at running these. I don't know how long you've been doing it, but you're natural, and I've enjoyed it thoroughly.
Hey, Alex, thanks so much. And for everybody that was tuning in today, appreciate you for tuning in. Check out the next episode that's coming soon. And if you're a company, a mortgage company, maybe don't check out Sales Boomerang because we don't want the competition. Just kidding. Check out Sales Boomerang. If you're a loan officer, I would definitely suggest checking out Alex and checking out Sales Boomerang. You guys are amazing. You're by far one of our favorite partners that we get to work with. The technology you guys provide us with, the new opportunities that we've been able to discover because of Sales Boomerang has truly been amazing in helping us grow our business. So Alex, thanks so much for everything you guys do, and look forward to catching you next time, my friend.
Sounds good, brother.
See ya.
Hey, really quick before you go, if you enjoyed this content, be sure to follow us here on social and don't forget to like and share this content. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.